There can be times when you can't really get stuck into any serious painting tasks or modelling tasks, and so it can be good to turn towards one of these board game type jobs to do, and these are the Mansions of Madness miniatures, including most of the expansions. I've had most of the base set painted for some time, in fact a number of years, but none of the extra miniatures were done. They've kind of been sitting waiting to get painted, so that's what I've been working on. It's nice and kind of low commitment type stuff. The miniatures themselves are pretty basic, that kind of soft plastic stuff that you can't really get too fussy over in terms of preparing them and scraping away mould lines, because the stuff just doesn't respond well to being tidied up with a scalpel or whatever. So when you're a bit pressed for time, I highly recommend tackling these sorts of things, because you can knock a number of these out in a couple of hours and not get too serious with it. One of the things that people have liked with the miniatures I've done and the games I've played were the bases, where I had a go at doing various wooden floor type effects for the characters and things, and it's worked quite well, and I thought I would just carry on. I don't think there's much interest in painting, showing the miniatures being painted themselves, because largely it's just contrast paints and basic techniques. In fact, contrast paints make a huge amount of sense for this volume of miniatures with this level of detail. These aren't Games Workshop miniatures. The faces are not that great in terms of detail, so you can't really get too involved. But the contrast paints work fine, and mixed with a few standard paints here and there with the brush to do some highlights if you feel up to it, they come out more than adequate. So I'm just grabbing different shades of brown. Didn't really matter the exact colours or the brands. I'm just looking to get some colour onto the base, and then I can move on. So probably for efficiency I would just go ahead and get them all painted with a few different shades, just for variety. Currently, at the time of me recording this, it's coming up to October. So I've always found the Mansions of Madness to be a good game to play around that Halloween time, so I'll be looking to get a game of it again. And nice to have the miniatures done. And you're not going to see most of these when you play just a one-off game. But I have been meaning to kind of just check it off the list in terms of collections of things I've got, games that I've got that I want to fully paint up. Not sure I'm going to do all the investigators. I've done the base set investigators. I think there's 6 or 8 of those. But in all the expansions you get a handful more to use, and there's quite a selection. Mainly wanted to get the various monsters and enemies done to get that variety. And as I say, the miniatures are pretty easy to paint. One of the things I particularly love about the game is the range of floor tiles that you get. I mean, there's dozens of them. There's loads of them once you include the expansions, and the artwork on them's really nice. All double-sided tiles of different sizes. You get the larger ones, and then the very large ones to use in the games. Inside, outside, all sorts of locations. Just felt that it made the miniatures look nice when they were on the board. If they had a base that in some way matched it. It doesn't have to be a perfect colour match because they're all different, but even if you have one like that, it still works. For me anyway, it sort of just finishes it off nicely. Quite a good example here of contrast paints. You can imagine how quick that was to do just a few different colours of the contrast paints open at the same time and just brushing them on. Not a lot to it. And obviously I didn't use the terrible large bases that originally came with them. Those really big black plastic square things. All I've done is just super glue them down, the miniatures down onto old 2p pieces. It gives them a bit of weight. So with all those bases painted in various shades of brown, I'm going to start drawing in the planks of wood for the flooring. And again, I'm using one of these. This is a 0.1 black pen that have so many uses for hobby stuff. It's always worth having a number of these pens in different sizes. Essentially, that's the idea. And because the pens have quite a hard tip on them, you're actually almost scribing into the paint and the modelling material that you've used on the base. Just to explain, on the base I've used some modelling paste, spread that onto the coin, just so you have something flat to work with. After that dried, I then glue the miniature down and prime them that way. So that's the stuff I did use to create that sort of smooth surface, but it does have a bit of texture to it, which helps. I suppose the technique is just to try and neatly draw in some straight lines. Depends what type of wooden flooring you're trying to recreate. I found it just as well to do this at the end, rather than trying to create bases first and then gluing miniatures on it. I prefer just doing them as a one-er for the priming and things. The only slight hassle is getting the pen into position, and because these are often meant to be old floors, any undulations and things in the paste below just work out as being the flooring warping and changing. And then need to remember to put on the ends of the boards. This can just be staggered randomly. So as you're seeing, I'm just going to use the actual tiles from the game as a bit of a guide on sizing. I've left a few of the miniatures on white bases, so I can do some of these black and white tiles. Doesn't need to be exact at all. Then it's just a case of using a few different brown colours to put a bit of variation, and pretty much from this stage onward you can stop whenever you want. They would look fine. And I did all the rest all at the same time, I would just open up a colour and just apply some of it to each base to make things a bit more efficient. And that would be enough. And then just to finish off the base, I just go over it with a quick wash of one or more of the shade paints just to get a bit of variation on them. Looking to try and get kind of blotchy, stained look, especially around the feet, just to help ground the miniature on the base. And having used that technique, I've got various types of flooring, some tiles, herringbone or other patterns with the wood. I'm going to do a few with a outdoor cobblestone look. But yeah, that's that stage complete. Okay, I'm on to the last one of these now. I did batch paint them. I didn't do them all individually like this, but I just thought for the sake of filming it, I would leave one till the end. It's just a case of choosing a variety of those same brown paints again, and then I'm just kind of drawing fine lines onto the different areas, and they can be wobbly and uneven. The basic idea is to get some variety onto it and give that wooden flooring look. Yeah, and also did a number of these different tiles or stone floors, just for a bit of variety on them. I guess you could also do some carpet looking stuff or other materials, but I think that's enough. This is a quick enough process. Get through them in a couple of sessions. I mean, it's impossible to match all the tiles from the game because all the rooms and spaces all have these really nice, unique designs. It's one of the things I'm most impressed about with the game as a fan of the likes of Advanced Hero Quest or Warhammer Quest, with the really nice tiles. I think these Mansions of Madness tiles are right up there, and they make for some brilliant layouts. Okay, I think that would do for the base in terms of getting the tops of them. Now I need to work on the rims just to finish them off. So regarding those tiles and how I store them, what I did was just get 4 of these standard photo albums from Amazon. I thought the red kind of weathered look or aged look suited the game quite well. Made up some templates for the icons for each of the parts of the game. There was 8, so you get 2 per folder. I know there's another expansion, but I'm just going to leave it with the 8 because it's a nice even number. And then that means that along with these Polly Pocket leaves, I was able to store all the various tiles that way, and I find that works quite well. At least that way the different tiles are organised by icon into a folder, which makes it a bit easier to find them. They're not numbered or anything, but at least they're grouped together by their theme. So that's how those are all kept together. What I really like about the tiles is just the variety of them, the kind of environments you can end up in during these different scenarios and investigations. And alongside the mansion style room tiles, there's ones where you come out into the town, the streets, tiles here for a museum, larger kind of diner, kitchen thing, medical facilities, classic sort of steamliner, cruise ship sort of thing, train carriages, just all sorts of stuff. So that's all I guess you'd call them the minions, all painted up now for the various sets that I've got for the game. Altogether it's quite a big set of miniatures. The ones I've just done now are all the ones in front of the investigators there in the middle. So it's this front 2 or 3 rows of the newer miniatures that I've just done, and you'll notice hopefully on the bases I've used different metallics, but just so there's a way of differentiating between them. In the game you can often find yourself being attacked or chased by more than one of the same kind of monster, so they have like little coloured chits that you can use to sit next to the minis, but I thought if you paint the rims different colours, at least you can try and distinguish them that way. Highly recommend doing them. If you're not a confident painter or you're new to painting, I would certainly say this is the way to go. Get one of these nice big box sets where you get a good selection of minis. The plastic they use isn't the same as you get with Games Workshop and the other kind of main manufacturers of miniatures. These ones are probably cheaper, more mass produced, but that makes them more approachable for painting. You know, it's kind of lower stakes and a good way to try out lots of different techniques and paint styles and things like that. And obviously, I especially recommend those contrast paints if you're looking for quick results. And regardless how exactly the bases match the tiles or not, you still get the benefit of them being painted up rather than just being left plastic or painted a dark colour or whatever. If they do have some sort of texture and some sort of effort used, they tend to kind of blend in anyway, and I think it makes for a better game overall if the miniatures are painted to some degree, to any standard really. I think just getting some paint onto the miniatures is what makes all the difference to the game. And then of course there's the boss monsters or the larger ones to deal with also. So I've painted up a few of them, but I've still got quite a few of the bigger ones to do. Some really interesting designs to do here, and ideal for contrast paints, I think. And if there's any interest, I'll maybe film tackling these larger models just to fully complete the set that I've got. But in the meantime, hopefully there's been something of use in painting those bases for you. If you haven't done so already, hopefully you can get your Mansions of Madness miniatures painted at some point. In the meantime, thanks very much for watching the video.